Hello everybody, Haku here with my Tower of God Chapter 350, Season 2, Episode 270 review. This one might be a little short, just because I think that, though there are some things I want to discuss about it and some things I actually really liked about it, there isn't a ton of different topics to discuss in regards to this one. Especially, even the blog, there really wasn't much about the chapter at all, or the story at all, and what very little of the one point I want to discuss, is just one point. Not really a ton to discuss with Tower of God this week, but let's go. And of course, this is a day late, I'm sorry, because it was kind of starting to storm and rain really hard last night. Not really storm, it just rain, but rain really hard, and I was like, instead of rushing to do it before it rains so loud that that you can hear it in the background, why not just wait until Wednesday and take my time with it? But either way, let's discuss this a bit. Starting from the beginning, we have Yuan-sung, Baam's group, and all that. Yuan-sung tells Andraste, just grab Baam and run, we're moving on out of here. So she takes him and kind of has to tear him away from his sworn enemy. He wrecked the sworn enemy, but he had this sort of look. He didn't really put it into words, but Baam seemed like, I don't want to leave my sworn enemy here to die. I want to save him or something, but even though we know that that's not quite how it goes. But I still feel like in the future, Baam may be able to save his sworn enemy despite it being just data with a purpose of chasing him down. But for now, Baam seemed really apprehensive to run away from his sworn enemy, but Andraste just grabs him, they all escape. Then Yuan-sung blows up the seed and all the paths that were connected to it, trapping all the soldiers in there so that they can just go and take the shortcut and not have to worry about being followed. Baam seems upset still after that, not putting it into words, but he seems upset about his sworn enemy getting blown up in the seed. But Yuan-sung says, don't worry, he's going to respawn. That's the way this works. It's just data. And he also says, you got to focus. We got to take down the big breeders. There's the hard servants and all that. Which makes Yuan-sung an interesting existence here to me, because if they know that he's an enemy to Zahard, he doesn't really seem like he's trapped in the seed, more like he wants to be there because he was waiting for Baam to take down Zahard. But if Zahard and them know he's an enemy, is there a way for them to just delete his data for good? Or wouldn't his sworn enemy be constantly after him for trying to upset the balance? Yuan-sung's existence here is kind of weird to me. Not weird in a bad way, of course, just weird, and I think it'll be interesting if we get to see more of it explained in the future of this arc. But then we cut away from them for pretty much the rest of the chapter. Except for the last line, which was pointless, just kind of Baam saying, they're the servants of Zahard, and him thinking that to himself. Other than that, the only other things we saw were with Khun's group. But starting up, mi-eum is so cute, her little fists up in the air and everything. Mi-eum is adorable. Rak was the best, where they all prepare to fight. Rak goes in, and just see you drew the really detailed panel of Rak just getting inked in the face, just falls over, starts screaming and rolling around. My eyes. It was hilarious, it was great. Octopus Kim climbs up the chimneys to get away from Sachi, who is using his thornbush path to try to attack. Then, after getting his distance, Rak again gets inked. But it's so funny because we see the ink getting shot, and then we cut over to Khun, and Khun has the shield up to protect himself, and it's not shooting at Khun, it's shooting at Rak beside him. And then we have Rak laying on the ground in a heap with Haku like, yo, you okay, dude? And Rak going, you only protected yourself. It was so great. Just again, the comedy here with Rak during the fight was great. Then Khun thinks of a plan, so we tell Sachi to send him, Boro, and Haku up to the chimneys, and that's where we get the term chimney used to describe them, so that's just what I'm calling them from now on, because I don't have a better word. But his plan is to use Haku as bait to lure Kim into a chimney, and then trap it with some of Boro's wire. And of course, if it rushes in full speed, it'll probably just snap the wire and stuff, so Khun's going to slow it down with his barrier. So then, the big breeder screws up this plan by raising the difficulty once again. If it was a C-level quest before and he's raised it twice, maybe this means it was an A-level quest, who knows. but Big Breeder raises the difficulty again and smashes straight through Kuhn's barrier in one shot, which means that it's going way too fast, so it starts snapping all the wires, and they're worried about Haku possibly getting hit, and then MVP Sachi traps him with the thorns. Then again at the end, mi-eum running over to them so excited they won is just so freaking cute. Mi-eum is adorable. And then at the end of that part, Kuhn says the good meter is full. This is something I didn't quite get, because I figured it was the little dots in the middle were going to grow and fill up more and more of the screen until there was no black in it. But when Kuhn's saying, oh, it's all filled up, there's no black left, and they're like, oh, there's no black left, it seemed like there were still just a bunch of dots in the middle and still plenty of black on the screen, so I have no idea what that's all about at all. But I'm just taking their word for it, not the visual image, because the visual image is contradictory to their word here. So good meter's full. The Big Breeder enters through a gate, which actually looked really cool, and the Big Breeder looks cool too. I like his design. His outfit's really cool. The spear is cool. He looks like Pedro, like exactly like Pedro, but without the death eyes, you know? I don't think he is Pedro, though, because in the blog, CU talks kind of about his design and stuff and says I gave him a mustache because I find it fun to draw or whatever. So I guess it isn't Pedro, and it seems from what he said like it's just some made-up data human, which kind of seems like a waste when it could have been like somebody of some sort of importance, and it would have been extra interesting because the real Pedro was with FUG, so why is the data Pedro from his past working with Sahard? Now of course I could be wrong, maybe the blog translation wasn't totally secure on or even maybe then it could have been left vague and the blog translation doesn't really convey that vagueness that well. So that could always be it. Maybe it is still Pedro, because I wasn't the only one. I saw a bunch of people in the comments saying, yeah, it looked a lot like Pedro. So I don't know. I don't think it's him, though, from the blog. At least right now, I don't think it's him, even though it looks a lot like him. So for the chapter as a whole, some discussion to get into. I love that Sachi was MVP. I love that I get to say that Sachi was MVP of something, because it seems like for so long everything was focused on, and this isn't a bad thing. Focus on Baam and Rachel isn't a bad thing. They're sort of the main-ish characters. Rachel sort of more of a main, not even antagonist, but a main, I guess rival is a better word for it in terms of storytelling. So focus on those two aren't bad, but I'd like more focus on our side characters, on, you know, the companions that are helping them get up the tower and everything. So I am really glad that we got to see more of that, and we've got to have more of it lately. I like getting comedy from Rak, even though I'd love to see him in a good, serious fight, like the beginning of his fight, what we got to see of his fight with Iniesta. A good, serious fight for Rak would be awesome. And seeing Sachi do cool stuff is great, and seeing Sachi actually get the win for the team is good. More Kuhn development as always. Kuhn gets a lot of screen time usually though, but again, I'm really cool with it because it develops side characters. Also, I'm still liking Yu Han-sung and his use here a lot. I think it was a good choice to make Yu Han-sung this sort of, you know, he's the young Yu Han-sung, but you still don't really trust him, but you don't really know where he's at on this. You feel like he probably wants to take down young Sahard and some FUG kind of stuff and help Baam get it. He's probably wanting to help Baam because Baam's the FUG slayer and he's been waiting for him, but we don't really know that. Yu Han-sung could be in it for himself. He could be a double agent. Who knows what Yu Han-sung could do, and that question there makes it even more exciting. I just think it's a cool character. Mi-eum, of course, is adorable. I've already come to love Mi-eum. She's so cute. And yeah, other than that, it was just a normal chapter. Progressed the story normally. And because of that, even though I really liked it, I'm going to give it a good score. Something I think is solidly good. And that's a 7.5 ink blasts out of 10. So 7.5 out of 10, I think that solidly good. I love that Sachi got the spotlight, but it was just a normal plot progressing chapter. Just an ordinary chapter. Nothing hugely special, but nothing hugely special, but being not bad is good enough in itself, you know what I mean? As long as something isn't bad, I mean, it's still held up a good, it's still held up to Tower of God quality. And then the blog, the one thing to bring up, and I saved it for the end because it didn't really matter that much for the chapter, is see, you said that quests won't actually be that important because of the way the story is told. Quests are just kind of going to be skimmed over a bit to tell the main story of the arc. Now, this doesn't mean the arc's not going to be important or the setting isn't going to be important, because it probably really is. It's just that to tell the story between the characters and have them trying to take down Young Zahard and all, or to at least meet Young Zahard. Probably take him down too, because that's kind of the way this kind of thing usually goes. But to tell that story, the quests are not going to be super, super important. Which is good to a point, because, I guess it's hard to think of a bunch of different creative quests, and not just ones like we've seen so far with taking down Octopus Kim. So to see taking down Octopus Kim or something equivalent to that again and again and again wouldn't be that fun, I guess. But it disappoints me a little bit, because the series started off where there was all this other stuff going on, all these different factions and stuff, but a big threat was you need to pass the test or you're going to get left behind, or you could die during the test. The test was the big threat that you had to get through to get to the next floor. And then I think about it when reading that in the blog, and I'm like, when is the last time that a test has been important? When has there been a time, any time recently, where we thought, oh man, Baam or his team might fail a test to get to the next floor, or one of them could be in trouble with the test to get to the next floor? It's been a long time, at least since around Workshop Battle era, which has been a good few years now. So it's been a good few years in real time that we haven't seen the test have any sort of weight. And if the argument for that is that, oh, well, if people like insert ranker who's not super, super strong here can become a ranker, then having a test be super difficult for Baam isn't really realistic because he's an irregular. If that's the argument, then CU wrote the main character to be way too strong. If the character is so strong that the tests to get forward in the story are too easy and there's no threat of them to him, then the character is too strong. He's been overwritten to be strong. So I just want tests to be important again. And I think tests can be important while still having focus on FUG and all the different factions and stuff and the princesses. All of that can be important while not just forgetting that tests are the main crux of the setting of the tower to get up from chapter to chapter. Now, of course, tests to get from floor to floor are different than these quests and all, but just the idea of quests not being that important, and thinking back about how tests in general haven't been important lately, when games and the different rules to all of them and stuff were kind of, again, the basic backbone of the series to begin with, and for most of the series. I don't know. I think that we just need to not forget about tests. We need to just have an arc at some point. And I know this is seeming less and less likely because there's so much we need to do. We need arcs with the princesses. We need arcs with Kuhn's family. And all those are going to come later. They're going to come eventually. But I think sometime in between then, we need to have an arc. And it doesn't even have to be a long arc. It can be kind of short, where the focus of the arc is just them trying to get to the next floor. And there are some other teams there that are really good, so they might not have that easy a time getting to the next floor. And I think the last time we had that in a sort of reasonable way, you could kind of stretch to say Name Hunt Station was like that, but Name Hunt Station was more about taking down Kaiser and really wasn't about making it to the next floor, because they were good to get to the next floor anyway. They were just doing this to appease Yuri. And you could kind of stretch the same thing to say the test that we got to see happen between Wooden Horse and Revolutionary Road. But even then, those tests were like nothing. They blew through them like it was nothing. And there was this weird Baam fainting all the time stuff that never really led much of anywhere after we got to the rice pot. And the rice pot kind of overshadowed all of that. And then we stopped hearing about it. But I guess the last time anything like that happened was at Revolutionary Road, when they were trying to get on the train and had to deal with all these different groups, including what was that, Irude and Barrow's group was there, and the original Team Aka, Boro teaming up with Baam, all of those teams coming together, Yura's team. That was the last time when tests seemed like they meant something. So yeah, ever since then, I don't feel like tests have really meant anything. And just because I'm counting the Dollar Show, the Dollar Show was more of a duel between Baam and Joaquin with their teams involved in it than it was a test. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't even a test to get to the next floor. So yeah, that's where I am with that. That was a little side rant, but I just think it's something that's good to discuss that I've been thinking about today for the series because of reading that in the blog. Is just that, yeah, I want tests to be more important again, but that's it for the video. So either way, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. I'm going to try to get better about answering comments sooner. I've been really bad about it lately, and that's totally on me. But yeah, I'm hoping to be better about, I of course read every comment, but I'm hoping to be better about answering them sooner than sooner than I have been lately. So yeah, try to be better about that. Subscribe for more Tower of God and more. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Also, if you want a link to our Discord, ask and I'll give you one. Thanks again. See you all next time.